guys, this is Susie. It's been 2 years since I last posted something, and I'm back. Okay. So September is such a special month for me. It is actually Thyroid Cancer Awareness Month. Okay, so Thyroid Cancer Awareness Month. What does that mean? Why do I even care about it? So Thyroid Awareness Month is just bringing awareness to everyone about getting their thyroid checked. If you don't know where or what a thyroid is, it's okay, because I had no clue either. It looks like kind of like a butterfly, and it's on like your neck, and it's on your neck, like covering your throat. Okay, I want to say that. Anyway, so why would this matter to me? That's because close to almost 5 years, I want to say, I was diagnosed with papillary cancer, which is also known as thyroid cancer. I didn't have any symptoms. I didn't have anything hurting or anything to get checked in particular. I was getting my physical done, and within the whole midst of, I would say, exam, I was told that my thyroid seemed enlarged. So it seemed like my thyroid was bigger than normal. So which I was referred off to like an ear, nose, and throat specialist, and amazing people. And they did an ultrasound. The experience was fine. It was perfectly fine. They put this kind of like cream on your neck, and they had this machine, and it just checked things. After that appointment, my specialist recommended me to get a biopsy done. Again, a term that I never knew about. So a biopsy is pretty much this procedure that they do to remove a piece of the whatever area, the cancer, whatever area, to test it for cancer. So that being said, it was a really painful procedure, although maybe it's because I'm a wimp, but I can tolerate pain. But it was a fine line to feeling uncomfortable, and they would numb it. They put a spray on my neck. I could still feel the needle inside as they were scraping. And for me, maybe for some of you who have gone through this, you can relate, but for me it was painful, and I was really scared. I was there by myself. My parents were waiting outside. I didn't want them to see anything. I didn't want them to see me in any ounce of pain, and at this rate, no one ever mentioned the C word. No one at all mentioned cancer at all. This was just like a normal procedure to just make sure that my thyroid was fine. So October 31st, 2013, just going for a follow-up just to get all the results from the ultrasound, the biopsy, over at my ear, nose, and throat specialist. And that's what I did. They called me back, and in comes my doctor, and there's a nurse that follows with him just as a routine. My mom was sitting in the back while I sat on the table, and the patient table, and doctor proceeded to talk about the exams, and I usually like snooze off, and I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, like I'm just waiting for him to tell me that everything's perfectly fine and I don't have to worry about anything. But that wasn't the case. That's not what happened. I sat there, and amidst all the words that came out of my doctor's mouth, the only thing I managed to hear was, it came back positive for cancer. Miss Fernandez, you have cancer. And at this moment, everything just went silent, and I began to laugh. Laughing is really my self-defense mechanism. And I remember just laughing and was looking around like, where are the cameras? Like, where is the I got you or the just kidding? I just remember like it feeling like everything was slowing down, and as I giggled, I just said like, you're kidding, right? And my doctor had a very serious face, and the nurse was very, very quiet. And I turned around, and I just saw my mom's face, and her eyes just filled with tears, and she was just speechless. And I think it was when I saw my mom that it hit me. It wasn't the doctor that told me that the results came back positive for cancer, but it was my mom realizing that she was scared as well, that this is serious, this is it, this is for real. So I can only tell you that that's all I remember from the conversation that I had with the doctor. I do remember the doctor telling me, but look at the bright side, this is the best cancer to ever have. I was confused as to how any cancer, no matter what type of cancer, is the best cancer to have. This is the doctor that was telling me this, so it must be true. He said all we needed was to go ahead and do surgery. It was an easy removal of the thyroid and I would be back to normal. Like everything would be the same. This is what he informed me. This is what he told me. This is what he promised me. And I left that place feeling like it was all a dream. And I was in the car with my mom and we called my dad and put him on speaker, and I couldn't say anything until I heard my mom say, "Emigdio, our baby has cancer." And that just made me feel quite scared, terrified. I was scheduled to have surgery in November, and the process of it was supposed to be really easy, just a surgery, didn't have to stay overnight. I would go home and I would be fine. Later I would have to schedule another appointment to start treatment, and I started radioiodine. My body did react to the radioiodine. In order for you to have radioiodine, you're pretty much like radioactive. You have to be isolated for a couple of days. I think it's like 3 to 5 days, just because the intensity of the radioiodine in your body can hurt other people, like their good white cells. And I was terrified of hurting my family overall. And for me, the procedure for treatment was a pill. There are different forms that you can take the radioiodine, but for me, they decided to go with the pill. It was a little aggressive, but not too aggressive. When they removed my thyroid, they found a massive tumor underneath my thyroid, and they were like, "We got it all, everything's perfect, there was no complications. We start treatment, and after treatment you'll be same like you've always been." And I will tell you that that was a lie. I am close to 5 years, I want to say, after my first surgery, and I have never been the same as I was before I had cancer and I went through treatment, before I didn't have a thyroid. I realized that the thyroid is a really important part of your body. It's why we have a thyroid. It controls a lot of things, from your weight to your hormones to just like everything, from the temperature of how you're feeling and your mood swing, like everything. And I would cry easily, be mad easily, be upset, be happy, all at the same time. And I was going through the dosage of radioiodine, and that to me was hard as well. I was sore from the surgery, of course. I felt like someone had like WWE just like slammed me on the table or something. And I promise you that the doctors say that that's not what happened, but that's just how my body felt. So I started the radioiodine. So you have to be isolated. You have to stay away from your family. And for me, radioiodine was horrible. I was in so much pain, but it wasn't the pain of like when you cut yourself or when you stub your toe. It was like my insides were at war. Like everything hurt from the inside. They had strictly told me that if I threw up, they would have to do the whole thing all over again, which was going to be even worse. So I cried. I cried every night, and I felt really, really alone. I felt really alone. Even though I was in the same house as my parents couldn't come in to hold me and tell me everything was going to be okay. And later on, I would find out that my mom and my dad would like be outside of my bedroom door and hear me weep and constantly praying for me. I don't think it's because I'm sad, because I went through it. It's just all these emotions that I recall from it, which is good. If I can help somebody else who's going through something like this, I'm okay with it. So I went back to the doctors after going through the whole treatment, and I was told that everything looked perfect, and I was told there was no complications, everything was perfect, you're good, just have a follow-up. So after getting the clearance, I decided to just, move on and continue to try to just live my life as a normal being. Apparently I was taking medication, or I'm still taking medication. I do take thyroid replacement since I don't have a thyroid, and I will be taking that for the rest of my life. And I want to say shortly after, I had a follow-up, and the words from my specialist was that everything came out perfect. There was no mistakes, or there was like no complications, nothing. Like it was all perfect. And I went into this follow-up thinking like of nothing of it, because it was just follow-up just to make sure I was okay, how I was doing with the medication. Because once you are on thyroid medication, they have to get you into a level where your body is accepting it, and you have this supplement or this medicine that is now your thyroid, since I no longer have one. And so I went to this appointment with my mom and my dad, super calm, super happy, and I had to get an ultrasound done. The doctor, he's an endocrinologist, he's like, we need to do an ultrasound just real quickly. And so I said okay, and he all of a sudden like called nurses and told them that we needed to do like an emergency biopsy. And that was even more painful. As I said before, the previous biopsy is just in general, it's a needle to scrape whatever part of like a mass in your body to go and test it out for cancer. And I remember that I think what made it hurt more was that my parents were in the room with me, and they were seeing, I was just imagining my parents see their little girl in pain. So what I was doing was like humming some soft little church music, and I was going through it all and felt the pain. Like, even though they would numb it, I continued to feel the pain. They tested it out, and the endocrinologist came back and stated that my cancer had returned. My cancer had returned aggressively and had spread to my lymph nodes, and therefore the tumors were in the direction towards my lungs. I needed to take action right away. I had to have surgery and treatment as soon as possible. Within minutes, they had already scheduled me to come back and have surgery, and they wanted to let me know that it was going to be okay. And all those other feelings that I had for the first time came back again the second time. And I kept thinking to myself, like, why me? Why am I going through this again? But at the same time, I knew that I just couldn't be down. I needed to be happy. Again, this is supposed to be just a simple procedure and you're not supposed to stay overnight. I ended up staying, I want to say, about maybe like 8 to 10 days in the hospital, because there was a lot of scar tissue. There was a little damage done on my vocal cord, or my vocal box, and there were some type of part was scraped and there's like things leaking. So I woke up recovery with a massive balloon like on the side of my neck, just like sucking all of this liquid. And I remember just asking for my brother, like, where's my little brother? And he was just like with me, and he was holding my hand. My endocrinologist, amazing. I love him, Dr. Salim. He is amazing. He came to see me, to test me, to check me out and make sure everything was okay this time, and that there was nothing showing again. There were a few complications, of course, which is why I stayed longer in the hospital. And I remember the nurses coming in and out just saying, like, you are our favorite patient, like, you're always happy, like, why are you so happy? And I kept thinking, and pardon for going a little religious, but I kept thinking of the story of Job in the Bible, how he had everything and then he had nothing, yet he still remained faithful to God. And it's what I kept thinking, and I kept thinking, like, no matter what I'm going through, I'm still going to love my God, my almighty God. And it's what made me want to be happy through it all. So I stayed there for a while, befriended so many nurses that I'm forever grateful for. And I went home afterwards and had to go through treatment again. The radioiodine was more aggressive because they wanted to make sure that my cancer didn't return. Anyways, part 2 of treatment was horrible and painful, I will say. I thought the first one was hard, but the second one hurt even more. And the taste after you take that pill is metal, and you smell metal. And I just felt really tired and nauseous. But I kept thinking that they said if I threw it up, I would have to go through it all over again. I just didn't want to go through it all again. So I fought really hard. And one night, I was able to roll out of bed into the floor. And I wanted so bad to, like, beg God to take me, because it hurt so bad. It hurt so bad. But again, I kept thinking, like, my life isn't done here. There's so much more that I want to do. There's so much more that I believe that God has planned for me. So, in the midst of everything, my dosage for my thyroid medication did change. And I'm going to say that I've had follow-ups every 6 months for the past 4 years. I am almost hitting my 5-year mark, which is even awesome, because then that means that everything is good, that I am officially cancer-free. Thyroid Cancer Awareness Month means a lot to me. I had no symptoms. I showed no signs. I wasn't tired. I was just little old me, laughing, giggling, playing, joking around, horrible jokes to be honest, I should never tell a joke, but that was just me. That's just who I've always been. And I realized now that I wish I would have asked to get my thyroid check. I will say that my specialist, who said I would be back to normal, quite did not say the truth. A little bit, because I have not been normal. I get really tired. I can sleep sometimes for days because my body is exhausted. I can do so many things, but the next day my body will physically feel so drained and so like sick. Like I would feel sick. My colds, I don't get a simple cold. My immune system has been completely destroyed, so my colds can take up to a week or two. I do have a bit of a problem with my memory, which is something that has frightened me. I'm turning 28, and it terrifies me that I cannot remember and recall a lot of things. And perhaps everyone watching this, or some of you, are gonna say, well, that happens to me all the time. But the side effects of anesthetics, it can make your memory like fuzzy and forget things. And I try really hard to do things that exercise my memory, but it's still hard. I know I mentioned about my vocal box being a little bit hurt or damaged, and they wanted me to take speech therapy. There are times where when I'm talking, some of my words or letters, like my tongue does get stuck and I cannot process the word that I want to say, honestly. Maybe it's just me, that's just how I am, or maybe I just don't know English or Spanish. But I have noticed these differences. I know I can tell my body how it feels when I'm not taking my thyroid medication, and I can tell when I am taking the medication. It's been a journey. It's been something that I truly will never ever regret going through. As crazy as this sounds, if I had to go through this again, I would, because this entire experience made me who I am, made me the Susie that you see here, the person who loves to laugh, who loves to love others and loves to help others, the one who sees someone in pain and I would do anything just so that they can feel happiness, just so that they can feel love. And that is who I am. I didn't let my illness and my disease define who I was going to be. So it is September, Thyroid Awareness Month. If you are curious, go to your primary care doctor. Let them know you just want to check your thyroid. If you are feeling fatigue, if you're feeling tired, hungry, kind of moody, go get it checked. Don't wait till it's too late. It doesn't hurt to go ask and get checked, to do blood work as well, to make sure the thyroid is working. And this is why Thyroid Awareness Month means a lot to me. I hope you guys like this video. Give it a thumbs up. I will be coming up with more videos and more things I want to share with you guys. This was just a little taste of what you're gonna expect, not just about my cancer, but just overall, just a lot of things that I want to talk about. I want to share with you guys. Living it up here in Utah. I'm away from New York. I'm a city girl, close to the mountains, and I want to share that with you guys. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up, share it, like it, comment down below or wherever it is, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Take 127. Action.